This is
Brighton's finest.
bringing the artists closer to you.
Juice.
I want to unpack the title Violence because it's a kind of definite statement, and before you even listen to the album, it gives you a certain impression, which I don't feel is particularly borne out through the experience of listening to the whole album, which is quite fierce but not sort of savage. And to me, it seems like there's a sort of balance going on between a ferocious sound and more of a sensitive one. Would you agree with that?
I think so. I think we've tried to fuse different elements of what we like to do when we make music, you know, be that something that's more kind of electronic and cold and in some ways kind of immediate and brutal, and then the more kind of organic, traditional elements of the band, if that's a piano or an electric guitar, you know. I think we've tried to find a balance that, you know, those things coexisting in a way that we've not done before. So, I mean, sonically, there definitely is some things coming together, and at times it is brutal, but like you say, sometimes it's a little bit softer and more sensitive as well. I mean, the title Violence, to me, was it seemed to resonate with the songs, I guess, lyrically, as much as sonically. You know, we when we make our records, we don't really sit around beforehand and decide on any concept or any story or message that we have to say or to tell. You know, it's normally down to me after we've made the record to decide or realise what makes it an album and what unites the songs. And these songs seem to focus on people coming together, humans focusing on human connection, and I feel as a kind of a way of escape from our world that we live in. So I think, you know, part of the reasoning for giving the album its title was because of that, because that violence is in some ways the world we are in right now.
And you say lyrically, it's perhaps your most ambitious album.
I don't know about that. I mean, the ambition I have when I sit down to write lyrics is to write words that will hopefully resonate with people on some kind of emotional level. And I appreciate that there are many people that think we're terrible and don't like what we do, but I think the people who do like what we do, and, you know, who are fans, and I think the words and the weight behind them is important. You know what I mean? But I think that ambition has been there from day one. You know, on each record you find different angles and slightly different things to be inspired by or to feed off of. And like I said, these set of songs feel connected in the world we are in right now, you know.
Why do you think this album is a little different lyrically? Did you give yourself more space to write it?
You know, I sit down to write and, you know, there's a tap somewhere above my head, dripping. And the only worry I normally have is that tap will stop and the inspiration will dry up. I think anyone that writes songs, or I guess anyone who writes anything really, was probably worried about that, especially as they continue to do it for any length of time. With the last set of songs, they felt like, you know, the last record was called In Dream, and the songs kind of talked about dreams, and I kept coming back to this idea of dreams, and that was what connected those songs. And the record before, I was trying to kind of write love songs in a way, and this set of songs was these people that were kind of escaping the world in human connection, you know. It wasn't deliberately to do something different, but I just naturally want to, you know, slightly shake things up.
So this concept of the kind of the world outside and then the room within, and inside this room are the two people who are seeking solace in personal connection, which is of itself quite a lovely image. Was there any one definite inspiration for that, or was it just an image that kind of came to you over time?
You know, I think there's perhaps there's a reflection of me and the way I think about my life in there. You know, it's not direct, but at the same time, you know, I run with these ideas and characters do form in my head sometimes. You know, so a few of the songs are kind of like, yeah, someone to their loved one, you know, someone in a relationship, and yeah, there's an echo of me in there somewhere, I guess, you know. But equally, I let my imagination kind of go. I think that's important too. So
do you feel angry because Magazine is almost a kind of protest song?
Sometimes angry, yeah, sure. I think scared as well sometimes too. Not all the time. I think it's just quite a human, normal way to be. But
of course.
magazine was written kind of, I had this image of someone like, someone in power, some corrupt big business or politician, those empty gestures and that we're all used to seeing and reading about. But I wrote the words to that song quite a few years ago, and the song got put in a cupboard and then for some reason kind of jumped out of that cupboard and asked to be put on this record. It's funny how songs sometimes feel relevant at a certain point in time more than they did when you first wrote them.
Brighton's finest.
This is Juice.
So was there any singular trigger for that song, or is it just a sense that
No, it's also kind of tongue-in-cheek as well. It's not a specific person I'm singing. I think that would be kind of, some people sit down to write a song and have like, they aim at somebody, or they have a message or something that they want to say, or I guess they have a way that they want people to think. You know what I mean? And that's fine for lots of people to write songs that way, but it's just not the way I've done it. I always kind of like to be more ambiguous and for it to come from a more going on my instincts a bit more rather than telling people what to think. So this person is not somebody specific. I mean, it could quite easily be, but when I wrote it, I wasn't thinking about anyone specifically. I was just, like I said, it was kind of tongue in cheek. During that song, there's this kind of over the top maniacal vocal performance. I say kind of about 4 or 5 times, kind of ridiculous things, and at some level, it was also fun. You know what I mean? Serious fun.
So if we can talk about one more song,
Sure.
Hallelujah, So Low,
Mm-hmm.
which you've described as the most rock you've ever been. So it's, I think, a good example of you sort of stretching out and maybe trying new things and going in new directions. Do you ever feel like editors get pigeonholed and that can make it difficult to try new things?
I think maybe we were to start with. I think people thought we were something that perhaps we weren't. But we've always just kind of cracked on and done what excited us. When we made that third record, which we went from making kind of guitar orientated albums to a very electronic record, which we made with Flood, which is, we lost a lot of people in making that. But that's one of my favourite editors' records. And in making that step and in doing something so different and being brave with your audience and taking a risk, I think that puts you in good stead to keep making those type of decisions and creatively going on a journey and taking your audience with you. And the people that are still with you, I think, are receptive to going on that journey with you. So, I don't think people now put us in any bracket really. Maybe we suffered, on the other, maybe our personality is harder to read. We have a bit of a personality crisis in some people's eyes, perhaps, over the years.
Well, you're certainly not afraid to push boundaries. I mean, this song, particularly Hallelujah, I feel like there's an almost intentional jarring in the ways that you contrast the acoustic and the electro thing, which is quite a brave thing for any band to do, even one with a long career who's very established.
That's cool. I mean, thank you. To us, it just felt exciting, That song, to start with, it fed off this kind of, the relationship between the acoustic guitar and the drum machine we were all kind of really vibed up about that. And then after a few days of working around this song, which existed in a very cool place, suddenly Justin came up with this guitar moment that you talk about. It was like, oh my God, the whole kind of ceiling came in. This is just such a payoff, as it were. And it was, to us, it was exciting and what music should be, alive and dangerous.
This is
Brighton's finest.
bringing the artists closer to you.
Juice.